there was a great list that came out from The Athletic yesterday from Sam Conn Jr. and Antonio Morales, where they ranked all 136 projected starters of college football.
It's a lot of quarterbacks.
It is a lot of quarterbacks. It's quite the undertaking. They broke them up into 7 tiers, and wouldn't you know it, Dylan Raiola was on the list.
Who would have thought?
They didn't put Jalen Gramstad on, which would have been awesome and quite the surprise. And so I was curious when I opened up this story, how far down am I going to have to go and what tier is he going to end up in?
Mm-hmm.
By the way, if you're wondering, number 1, Cade Klubnik. Number 2, Garrett Nussmeier. 3, Lenora Sellers. 4, John Mateer. 5, DJ Lagway. So remember the name DJ Lagway because he is, I think, where the crux of frustration for folks comes from with this piece.
Yep.
Because Dylan shows up in tier number 4, which is described as some are young, unproven starters with high potential. Others are veterans who have flashed great talent, but hit performance or injury speed bumps somewhere along the way. Obviously, Dylan is in the first category there.
Yes.
Mr. Jacobson. He falls all the way down at number 40, which they wrote, Raiola looked every bit of a 5-star prospect last September, but hit a wall midway through his true freshman season. The hope is he'll make a jump with Dana Holgerson fully in charge of the offense now. A Big Ten personnel staffer said, has calmness, maturity, swagger to him, which you want out of your quarterback. Think him continuing to get bigger, faster, stronger, and leaner in the offseason can take his game to the next level.
Of people body shaming other people.
And one more, Raiola doesn't display top-end athleticism last year, though, which has left some in the sport wondering how high his ceiling actually is. Austin, thoughts? Number 40, tier 4 for Dylan Raiola.
From the very beginning, I think that a lot of the national media kind of forgets about what Dylan's... They look at the stats in general, and they see 13 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. Those are usually the first 2 that you can go to. Usually you can kind of ignore yards, you can kind of ignore completion percentage, and those are the first 2 you can go to determine how successful you were in the first year. You also did have some fumbles on that resume too, so the turnover to touchdown ratio a little bit skewed in the opposite way. Yeah. I want to give you a comparison from a freshman season from an SEC quarterback in 2019.
Okay.
Played for Auburn, true freshman quarterback. 57% completion percentage, 16 touchdowns and 6 interceptions with 2,542 passing yards.
I know
who
would
this be?
This is Bo Nix.
This is Bo Nix.
He started for the Denver Broncos.
Now, on the opposite side, Bo Nix turned out to be a pretty decent quarterback, correct?
He did, and he was mid as hell for 3 years at Auburn, and then he went to Oregon, and he was awesome.
I'm not suggesting Dylan Raiola needs to transfer to get better, but I am saying that Dylan
Austin
Raiola
says he needs to go to Oregon.
He wants him to go to Penn State.
Oh.
Austin. And then Matt Rule will follow.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
What I am suggesting is I think Dylan Raiola is actually further ahead than people will give him credit for. He completed 67% of his passes. He had more passing yards than Bo Nix had in that freshman season. 13 touchdowns, of course, the 11 interceptions. But if we do recall the early stretch of the season, which is tough to do, what were the first 3 interceptions that Dylan Raiola threw on the year?
So I know that the first one was Northern Iowa, which was stolen away from Nair, probably. Jalen Lloyd. The second one was the Illinois game, and that was stolen away by from Nair. And then the third one, was that the really bad one in the Rutgers game where he just kind of threw it to the guy?
Yes, those were his first 3.
Those were his first 3 picks.
So could you argue the first 2 were basically 50-50 calls, essentially?
Absolutely, yeah. In the moment, I said, why didn't the wide receiver catch the ball?
And if Jalen Lloyd catches that ball, he either scores or makes a big enough play. Can we...
Sure. Nair, one was
that one was a touchdown or interception. So that's a direct one. So if we change it, 14-9, okay?
That sounds a whole lot better.
And if we go the opposite way and even credit Lloyd either scoring or whatever the case is, 15-8. And then I'm not going to credit the last interception, but I want to make a point of that last interception.
Okay.
That was clearly one of those interceptions that is thrown that a true freshman quarterback makes in his first season.
A total brain fart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And what do you do when you get better after that? He improved after to move forward through the rest of that. So I kind of discredit 3 of those interceptions, and you can move it down. That stat looks a lot better and more comparable to where we saw Nix 16-6. The reason I want to bring up Nix is because a lot of people thought in that second season at Auburn, he only started in 11 games. He did miss one, I believe, due to injury. I don't think he was benched, but he didn't progress as far as people had thought. He actually regressed a little bit. Completion percentage went up 2 points, nearly to about to 60%, but went 12 for 7 and threw for 100 less yards, of course, missing 2 of the games that he had played.
And that was his sophomore year?
That was a sophomore year. I think you could see a bigger jump from Dylan because 1, completion percentage was higher. 2,
higher.
Learned from a lot of the really bad throws. His interceptions, especially late in the year, they were some bad interceptions. But I think you learn more from those type of interceptions than you do some of the other types of passes that, especially
Certainly the first 2 picks.
And exactly. And in the tier in which he was, it was tier
Basically
4.
a young guy who has talent but needs to show more.
Exactly. Or it's the experienced quarterback that just doesn't have consistency. Dylan's not that because he's going to be a true sophomore. But if a senior quarterback is throwing interceptions that Dylan did his freshman year, you would say, oh, God, what are we doing? Like, why is this guy still in? When a true freshman does it, you can assume the upside is there. I'm surprised at 40 is far too low for young Dylan.
Yeah.
So I think that he should be lifted up because the upside, I believe, is there with the completion percentage that you can see. And if you actually go back and watch where the interceptions were, they're not terrible interceptions.
So 2 things off of it. One, maybe we can say for tomorrow, and that is how good does he need to be? But the other one is this, and now I want to go back to Lagway for a moment. So Lagway is 5, which I think is pretty crazy because if you go look at his numbers, now he has a better winning percentage because I think they went 6-1 in games that he started. He played in 12 games, but a lot less experience overall in the season. But and so I was on with a Portland radio station this morning, and they asked me about those 2 players. And I keep saying, and I've heard now others say this too, so I think I'm onto something. It's like the devil you know versus the devil you don't. And I'm not calling either of these quarterbacks Satan, but we know more about Raiola because we saw him play more last year. And so it seems to me that a Lagway is propped up a little higher because he seems like a ball of clay that can still be molded. And I apologize if somebody did say that exact comparison. Whereas Raiola, I think people think he's a finished product already, which is wild, but I do think that that's happening at this moment in time.
And I actually agree with you in that sense because when he arrived at Nebraska as the 5-star plus quarterback, everyone assumed that, well, a 5-star quarterback looks like this. And in UTEP, he looked like that.
He did. I would say the whole month of September until the last couple drives versus Illinois and then in overtime. I thought
was he the freshman of the month, September?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know.
I think he won freshman of the week for the UTEP game, but I don't know if he got anything more after that. But yes, to your point, yes.
And I've said it a million times. I was in the building for the Illinois game, and I remember that was the only game I attended last year. And sitting up in the press box and watching some of those throws, like, honestly, that's a good game to go back and rewatch because I think that after what happened in October, November, and the bowl game, and I know we say people forget a lot, but I kind of think people forget how good he looked early, and then it all fell apart for a variety of reasons. Injuries, horrible play caller, the talent level around him, not the best, et cetera, et cetera. And so, I am certainly willing to give him the benefit of the doubt on being able to improve. It's just how much will he be able to improve? Would I bet on 40 being too low? Absolutely, I would. I do wonder what the ceiling down note.
Ooh. Do you want to double down floor and ceiling tomorrow?
Wow, we could do a floor ceiling of Dylan Raiola. Yeah, what is that? Because if he didn't play last year, let's pretend that they would have brought in
Kyle McCord.
Yes, that's the exact player I was going to say. They bring in Kyle McCord, and he doesn't go to Syracuse because that was originally going to be the plan. And Dylan comes in, and they do the arch stuff where he doesn't redshirt, or if he does, he's still playing in at least 4 games. He's playing in games. He's getting some experience, but not a whole lot. Coming in late game situations. Maybe he has to come in to spell a McCord injury for a couple. And he barely throws the football, but his completion percentage is still 70. He has like 4 touchdowns, 1 pick. And we only see like those nice looking throws. He doesn't get banged up. He doesn't get hurt. He's not the guy. There is no way in hell he's 40 right now. They would probably have him closer to 10 because we wouldn't have as much experience watching him play football.
That's I have to
thought experiment
alert. I have to sit
alert.
on that. This is also a good reminder too that McCord's season last year, through 592 attempts, completed 66% of his passes, 4,800 passing yards, 34 touchdowns, 12 interceptions.
And in the game against Pitt, like I think there was 3 pick sixes and maybe 4 interceptions. So like most of those picks were, in that one game. Dante says Dylan is a big boy. Jalen could have done more to catch it, but come on. I never put that interception on him. I thought that should have been
that's a shocking take that we're taking.
And I'll be very critical of October Dylan and November Dylan and footwork Dylan. Like, I mean, he's not an infallible player, but I thought that was a fine throw that a receiver, that was the issue with some of those guys last year is like, just go through the defender, man.
I still wonder where the season would have changed if Nebraska wins that Illinois overtime game.
Well, God, I'll be critical of him for a moment for Dante. He overthrows Lindenmeyer. Like that is
100%.
That is the canary in the coal mine of the season. Like that was terrible. He was wide open. That was a great play. I am not a Satterfield guy, That was a great throw.
Mhm.
Just a great play call, excuse me. Horrible throw.
Remember
Horrible
when
throw.
everyone was like, why are we throwing to Lindemeyer? He was wide open.
He was wide open.
What are we talking about?
I'm never going to be critical of the play that should work, but is poorly executed
not
like that.
executed, yeah.
Kind of like, some people got really mad about the Terrence Nunn fumble game where it's like, why would they go for it? It's like Callahan called a play that worked, and it worked. And then the guy fumbled. Like,
Yep.
I'm not going to get mad at Callahan for the play call.
Yep. And I think the other part of this entire Dylan conversation is there, and I think this is a young quarterback learning as well. Dylan held the ball way too much.
Way too much.
Way too much.
Look at the end of the Iowa game. Look at the end of the Illinois game.
100%.
You know?
You got to know when to get the ball out.
Dude, he got lucky in the Illinois game because he fumbled it twice late in that game, and
Mhm.
Nebraska popped on both of them. And
Mhm.
if they don't, Illinois is suddenly deep in Nebraska territory with a chance to win, before overtime.
Yep.